right, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock, Martin Suter is here. Today we're going to talk about some fun technological advancements of the 18th century.
18th century, good morning.
Come on, Martin, how you doing?
I'm fine, how about
I
yourself?
thought I'd throw you a curve right there.
Yeah, that's fine.
The fun technological advancements of the 18th century.
18th century. That'd be, what's the wheel maybe, or something like that.
How you doing?
I'm all right,
So the 18th century began in the year 1700,
1700, right.
So if it was 1699 right now, we'd be thinking, gosh, I wonder what's going to happen. We're entering a new century.
Right.
So that's where we want to go. We want to be at that year, 1699, the end of that year.
Gotcha.
What to look forward to?
Yeah. Well, again, I didn't bone up on that, so we could say things like the wheel or
So you brought us some
the microscope or
you
something.
brought us some deer meat.
I did bring you a little deer meat.
Now, what part of the deer is that meat from?
That's all mixed up. See, I'm the type that, and a lot of people that have tried venison and say they don't like it, usually they'll get a piece of the leg or a steak, a ham,
Yeah.
and cook it up thinking that, And it sometimes depends on where it's from, too. It can be a little gamey or not prepared or cooked right.
Right.
But anyway, I avoid all that, and I take the entire deer in to the butcher, except for the back straps, they call them, which is the filet mignon of the deer.
Okay.
And I just tell them to make it all hamburger. So it's all...
Oh, really?
They just debone everything. He adds a little beef fat to it,
Oh, okay.
because they're pretty lean. To make it the hamburger,
Right.
and puts it in the package you saw.
Well, thank
And
you
then-
so much.
Thank you. That's
A
wonderful.
lot of times I'll do Italian sausage or breakfast sausage,
Oh, really?
depending on how much I get,
Italian deer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a reindeer, is it,
Yeah.
by chance?
No.
No, just a regular deer.
No,
Well,
those are
that's a-
caribous. Those are.
Well, that's an art, though, because like you just mentioned, you had to put a little bit of fat in there because they are so lean that when you fry it up, it might get real dry.
Yeah, and that's what he does. And the same with the sausage. He'll put a little pork fat in there.
So do you eat pickled herring?
No.
Oh, I love that.
Is that what you had? Pickled?
Yeah.
That's what it was called?
Yeah, I love
My
that.
dad does.
Robin and her mom were eating it out of a jar like it was candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's like, holy, that looks horrible. What is that?
Yeah, it's white and it.
Oh,
It's got-
I don't know what it tastes like. They were bragging. Oh, come on. What are you doing?
But you said your dad likes it.
My dad likes that kind of thing. Yeah. And herring and sardines out of a can and stuff.
Oh, those are good.
Do you ever go
The
fishing
mustard
using shrimp as bait?
Oh yeah.
So when you see somebody eating shrimp, do you eat it also?
Oh, I eat it. Yeah.
Oh, you do eat shrimp?
I would eat my bait when I got done
What?
fishing.
No way.
If I still had a bunch in the bucket,
Yeah?
I'd bring them home and boil them.
Oh, you'd boil them. Yeah,
Sure.
he wouldn't eat them raw.
You're such a.
Not raw, no.
No.
You did
like
not grow up
boiled
in a city. Where did you grow up? It had to be the country.
No, it was a city outside of Chicago, actually.
Well, maybe you're raised country like a country guy, but in the city. Your dad was a country guy.
No, my dad's an electrical engineer and spent all his time in
So
downtown
how did
Chicago.
it happen for you that
my.
you're hunting and eating things that you fish with?
I don't know, and I'm a halfway decent mechanic, and
Oh, here we go.
my dad doesn't even really know how to turn a wrench, which is odd, but
Yeah, but he's an engineer.
I don't know where it came from, but the outdoor part, really, even all my jobs, even my first couple of cable jobs, I was, striving to be the maintenance guy out there in the bucket truck, just hanging out,
So that's more interesting to you
Yeah.
than like
rather-
being inside at a microphone for.
Definitely,
That was
I mean,
your
the
passion.
microphone doesn't bother me, but, and, the
It's
inside,
being indoors.
yeah, I mean, even what I'm doing now, of course, there's installs and stuff involved in it, but I'm outside a lot, So it's kind of the way I like it.
Do you know we had a guest on yesterday, and he had a whole book about funny stories from the outhouse.
Right?
And I said to him, "What are these old stories? I mean, I don't even know of one outhouse anymore."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, about the only ones you see anymore is like those Alaska shows on TV,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think there's one in Denellen, but it was in the news because a truck hit it.
Oh, really?
It was like, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure they're out there, even around here, out in the forest and stuff.
And he said sometimes they push them over. So I said, no, wait a minute. That's a porta potty.
Right.
If you push an outhouse over, the guy in the toilet, he doesn't go with it.
Right.
That toilet stays put. It's just a board on a hole, right?
No,
Pretty much. Well, yeah.
they're attached though.
Attached to the building?
Yeah, the things you sit on. It's like a bench, and then the
I
building
thought it was like a.
is right there, and then.
Well, they're usually all one
as you
piece
move
because
it
they
around.
pick it up, and change holes,
So
Yeah,
this
'cause
is
you
the
have to move it
invention of
around.
the, what did I say, 16th, 17th?
18th century.
Yeah,
18th century.
1700s. Yeah, they must have had an outhouse.
They probably didn't have that blue foam I see them put on it over there in Alaska. So it helps keep your tushy a little warmer, they
Yeah,
say.
right.
Martin Suter is here. Martin, you have a phone call. If you'll put your headset on, you'll be able to hear the caller. Good morning. You're on the air with Martin.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. When you're cooking venison, you probably want to marinate it with whatever your secret recipe of marinade or dry rub is, to get past the gamey taste.
Right.
If you're not doing what he did by making it all ground meat. There are people that just stick the thing in the refrigerator for a couple hours, covered with Italian dressing, something like that.
Right. There's the one that I like to use is called Dale's sauce, and it's kind of a little bit salty, but it's good. It's a beefy, salty type liquid, and it's good, but it doesn't take the deer a whole long time to suck it up because they're. It's a little bit different meat.
Okay, Doc. Have a good morning, everybody.
Right.
Happy New Year.
All right, same to you.
Does anybody else have any venison recipes? You're welcome to call it in. I will just say nothing because I have no clue about this stuff. But Martin would love to talk to you. There was I worked for a guy who's also a hunter, and he brought in some venison chili one time.
Right.
Yeah, and when I found out what it was, I didn't touch it. And then one of the people asked me, "Oh, you're not hungry?
Oh.
What, you're not hungry?" And I said, No, it's just a deer in there. I don't want to eat the deer. So then he finds out about it. The boss finds out about it. He goes, "Who doesn't want to eat my deer meat?" I was like, "Oh my God, who told him?"
So did you end up eating it?
Marsha, no.
Oh, you didn't even try like the sauce or something?
I'm a tough guy when it comes to being true to vanilla ice cream and toast.
My daughter will not eat it.
How come?
If she knows,
Because it's a deer.
she won't.
I can get it.
My wife is fine with it, but my daughter, if she knows. Now, she ate a lot of deer.
She didn't know it.
She didn't know.
Yeah, because it makes good chili and good tacos.
Yeah, because it's flavored.
She's told me that's some of the best chili I ever had. I didn't look at her and say, well, that was deer meat, but
Oh, you didn't tell her?
No, I don't
Oh,
tell
good.
her.
Yeah.
In
don't
fact,
tell her.
I got to the point where I would keep the hamburger wrappers from the store that said hamburger on it.
Yeah.
And I'd keep them and then throw them on top of the trash when she came over for dinner. And
Oh, good idea.
that's deer meat. No, it's hamburger. See it right there, it's hamburger.
Good for you.
So wait a minute. So you can't taste the difference?
To me, it's just a little bit sweeter.
Well, the question is, can she taste the difference?
Well, she would just say that's good chili if she didn't know. So.
Yeah, she got
So
your
you can-
spices.
Yeah, again, it tastes pretty close to this. What I'll do is I'll take, normally if I'm making spaghetti or taco, any of that kind of stuff, really chili with regular hamburger, I take it and put, salt and pepper and a few other seasonings in it, garlic, Cook the fat out, of course. Drain it, you'll taste a little bit of it, and that's what I do with the deer meat, and to me it tastes the same, so.
Does a rifle that you use to shoot the deer,
Right.
does it aim more accurately than a rifle would have in the 1800s?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
Because why?
Well, first of all, I don't think in the 1800s they had what they call the rifled barrel, which...
Oh, I mean the 1700s, the
even
18th century.
1700, yeah. I don't think they had a rifled barrel yet. And the rifled barrel is, inside of it, it has grooves, and it makes the bullet spin as it leaves the barrel. And
So
I think
that's interesting. So were they mostly using bow and arrow back then for hunting?
probably, I don't know if they had muzzle loaders yet or not, but the muzzle loader was just a barrel with a ball. Mm-hmm. And the first ones were really pistols, I think.
Well, every time we go to a Civil War educational thing. Yeah,
Right.
it's not always a reenactment. It's a guy teaching you about cannons and about guns.
Right.
He will always say the Civil War was the last war of its era and the first war of the new era, because the weapons used in the Civil War were old weapons, and then weapons that also evolved to become today's weapons.
Right.
So I don't know enough about it. I just know they're loud.
Yeah. Well, again, they were, they got to the point where they could reload.
Do you get into that stuff, the cannons and stuff like that?
I know.
You don't like that stuff, huh?
No. I have muzzleloader though.
You did?
Was it a 50
I do.
caliber?
My muzzleloader is, it's 50 cal, modern.
Oh, okay.
It's rifled. It takes a special bullet.
Do you melt the lead and make the bullets yourself?
No, you buy them. It's
Robin knows way more about this than I do.
you don't need
I'll just let you two talk.
You don't need the little patch or anything. In fact.
Oh, you don't?
What they do now is they make the gunpowder's made in a cylinder. 50 grains each. So you take 2 of them, and you got your 100 grains. You drop them in there.
Oh,
Then you
okay.
take this bullet that I have that has a special plastic bottom. Push it down in there, and then you take it. It's the caps.
But
that
you have
are,
a percussion cap on it.
caps are from the end. What are in bullets? That the little cap where the trigger hits it. It's just the cap, and that goes in the back part.
Oh,
So I have a question for you,
modern.
based on what you just said. In anything, when we are doing something that we learned how to do it from somebody else,
All right.
we do it the way we were shown, and then eventually we figure out a way that we like, and maybe we even do it a little differently than what we were taught. Is that true for that too? Like, do you load that gun differently than you were taught? Is there a slight different way you do it?
Not really.
No.
I mean, again, you drop the things in there and you take that rod and push it in. So it's, my gun, it's got a little tool that you take the cap and put it in and then pull, and it's in there. And then the other ones that actually break open now, you just set the
Oh.
cap in there,
I have
close them back up.
Wow.
I had a brother who died back in May,
Right.
And he lived in Arizona, and he was really into guns, and he belonged to a gun club, and in fact they had a memorial at the gun club. We went to it out in the mountains in California. Actually, is where that was. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because he had 30 guns or something,
yeah.
Wow.
and some of them were what you're talking about, those old guns.
Right.
At least 2 were right.
Yeah.
Black powder rifles or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, too bad we didn't know you then. We could have held on to one for you.
There you go. There you go. My oldest is a 1903, I think it is, Ithaca side-by-side 12-gauge shotgun.
Really?
Yeah, made up in
Nice.
New York.
Is that the kind that Elmer Fudd has?
Well, almost. It's their first. It's actually their first hammerless.
That's what I know about guns.
Yeah, I think Elmer's had hammers on the back of it.
Yeah, yeah.
This one's the first hammerless. You open it, put the shells in, it's cocked.
Oh, nice.
So can I tell you about the 9 most influential inventions of the, what was it, the 18th century?
18th century.
The 1700s. Ready?
Okay.
The first submarine was built in
Really?
the 17th. Yeah. David Bushnell invented the first submarine. The lightning rod,
Yeah.
Really?
and Benjamin Franklin invented the lightning rod.
Yeah, that I can see.
Thomas Jefferson invented the mold board plow. He designed a better mold board that lasted longer for the plow. Optical telegraph was invented.
Really? Optical telegraph.
The optical telegraph was used for long
would you
distance
do that?
communication. This particular invention was the first dependable means of long distance communication. I never even heard of that.
Optical sounds visual. How would you? I don't know what they were doing.
All right, let me click on it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the answer. I'm just
I don't know what
Probably
that is.
shooting light in the sky or
an
something.
optical Oh, that's an optical telescope.
Right?
Didn't it say optical telegraph, or did I read it wrong?
You
I
said
don't know.
telegraph, and
Yeah,
a
let's
lot
see
of
if I,
it communicate.
it says telegraph.
Oh my
It
God.
says
isn't
optical
that
telegraph.
something?
Okay. Number 5 on the list is Watt's steam engine.
Oh, that makes
Okay.
sense. Sure.
Isn't that interesting? The steam engine wasn't even invented until then.
Yeah, but that's a long time ago.
That must have, yeah, but think about all the years before that when there was
Right.
none.
Well, that's what I was saying. The wheel, stuff
Wow.
like that.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Number 4 on the list is the power loom
oh.
to revolutionize
makes rugs.
the weaving
Yeah.
industry. Yeah.
Right.
Number 3 was the Franklin stove, the first heater that could still heat a room.
And cook.
Yeah. Number 2 was the Farmer's Almanac. That's a book.
Yeah.
Well, hello.
It's a good book.
Okay. And number 1 was the cotton gin. That was the most influential machine
Oh my gosh.
or invention of the 1700s.
But a powered loom, I wonder how they did that. You think they had...
I don't know how they do the non-powered
they
ones.
do
That seems nuts to me. That's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work.
From what I've seen, when they got to string that and then do whatever they do.
So have you ever invented anything? Are you an inventor?
No,
I think Jim was, right? Wasn't Jim George an inventor?
I don't know if he. I don't know if he did. He never showed me.
I don't think I've ever invented anything. I've written a
Mozart.
bunch.
I mean, I've had a few ideas, and my dad used to come up with a bunch of ideas, but never did nothing about it. But I've had a few ideas.
You have a phone
I
call.
bet you've implemented them, though, with some of your ideas.
Yeah, good morning. All these textile mills in the 17 and 1800s were set up near bodies of water and powered by water wheels, and then there'd be this network of belts within the factory to get the machines going back and forth and such.
All right.
Well, that makes sense.
So
makes a lot of
basically,
sense.
yeah, water and belts. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Well,
probably.
have a good day.
Okay, same to you.
The most interesting thing on the list for me is the optical telegraph.
Yeah, I mean, again, how.
Let me look it up. Because when I clicked on it, it showed a telescope. Let me do a telegraph.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. They had to look at each other, and either they're looking at each other with telescopes from a long way away with a piece of paper, or they're sending light maybe at night. I don't know, man. Like a.
All right, I'm going to go to Wikipedia for this. Ready? Okay. An optical telegraph is a line of stations, typically towers, for the purpose of conveying information by means of visual signals. There are two main types of systems: the semaphore telegraph, which uses pivoted indicator arms and conveys information according to the direction of the indicators. And then there's the shutter telegraph, which uses panels that can be rotated to block or pass the light. Oh, I guess like light signals.
Right, that's what I was thinking, yeah.
So were they relays?
Optical.
You
Well,
think they were like the first relay?
Well, this is one of them.
yeah, it sounds like they lined them up so that they could go from one town to another.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like you could go far.
No, I don't think so.
But then so they'd have to pass. It'd be like the game of telephone.
Right?
By the time the last person gets the message, you have to take Johnny out for a glass of milk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't just wires stretched across.
I don't think
and
there
they
were
had
any
those
wires.
Junctions.
No wires.
Oh, no wires.
No,
No.
it was just light. You had to be sitting in the other building going,
Right.
oh my gosh, was that 3 dashes or 1?
Yeah, it's kind of like a telegraph with light.
Oh, okay.
Instead of tap, 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 you get.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Okay, how
would guess,
fascinating is
how-
that?
Yeah.
how many bleeps were there? I just blinked. I missed a bleep.
Well, didn't that mean they went backwards then? Because after that they had the lines, because you hear about the wars and they cut the telegraph lines and things.
Well, the lines that were a lot more reliable and go a lot farther.
Oh, I see.
They could
Oh,
go a
okay.
long ways.
Plus, there was that big long line they put from England, I think, to Nova Scotia. Did
Right.
you ever hear that story? The underwater line
I don't know about. I know we have them.
cable.
Everything we do with Europe is underground.
But the
fiber.
first under the ocean cable was a big endeavor,
Oh, I'm sure.
and I think it went from Nova Scotia to London, right, or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that
Right.
was pretty amazing.
Oh, I would imagine it's an endeavor right now. It's nothing real easy.
Yeah, really. Putting something under the water for
Right.
what 4,000 miles, probably.
I mean, I'm sure the vessels, everything is set up to do it, and it's a lot easier than when they started, I'm sure. But as you said, it still has to be somehow heavy enough to get to the bottom.
So let's look ahead to the inventions that are coming now. We're entering a new decade.
All right.
Do you think there will be any invention that will make your job obsolete?
From what I hear, as we've talked, that 5G is.
But you still have to be putting cables in and all that, right? Oh no.
I don't think so.
That's satellites, strictly
Those are
satellites.
them little mini satellites,
Uh huh.
and all the stuff be done without wires. So that's what concerns me anyway, I guess.
So when we were at a Christmas Eve party at Robin's mom's, the subject came up about GPS, and Robin's brother said the first GPS he had, it took him to the wrong place. And I said, well, how long ago was that? And it was like 7 or 8 years ago. I said, well, they're a lot better now.
Right.
To which somebody else at the party said, no, they're not any better now. They're just as bad. What is the truth of this? I thought we had like 1 million satellites in the sky now.
We do, but if you're using it, it's probably on your phone, right?
Right.
It's off your phone.
Yeah, mine is, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not using satellites, it's using the phone towers.
Okay, but doesn't
So-
it get it from the
Oh.
satellite?
It's more accurate. No, I don't think so.
But how does it know where I am then?
From pinging from the towers.
Oh, from pinging.
Yeah.
Well, that's not good.
They can tell where you're at with your cell phone. Everybody can. The cops can. Anybody can if they're looking.
I want
Oh
them
my
to.
gosh.
I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm
Yeah.
fine with them knowing where I am.
But that's how that works. See, here's the thing, though. If you go 15 miles offshore, your phone's not going to do anything. You
It's
can't.
not going to work?
You can't GPS yourself to the Bahamas if you don't have a true GPS that looks at the 12 satellites,
Oh.
right? Which is what I have a GPS in my car.
Oh, you have one that actually goes to the satellites?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it acquires satellites. I also have a handheld one.
Oh, my.
So that's more accurate.
Usually, it may not even be more accurate, but it works in the middle of nowhere.
So we had a
you know.
guest,
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah.
That's
Martin.
scary.
We had a guest from Culver's hamburger joint, whatever it's called, right? Culver's. And they sent us, as a thank you for having them on the show, they sent us 10 coupons for baskets of food.
Right.
Hamburger baskets.
Hamburger
I
basket.
said, oh my gosh, let's go to one of these. So we didn't have one in Ocala. There was
Right.
one in Gainesville. We used our GPS. It took us into this neighborhood, and it was somebody's house. And I said, do you think this is it? And I don't know.
Doubt it.
It was wrong. In other words, GPS was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was not that long ago.
No.
Maybe.
Well, my brother's house is, again, he's in the woods, And actually, it would be 12 years. My mother had passed, and we were all up there, and my daughter had just gotten her license, so of course she was designated driver.
Of course.
And we were trying to get back to my brother's house one night, and I said, just use the GPS, I told her, and I don't know where it took us, but it wasn't where we were supposed to be going. So,
No.
it'll happen. And
But here's the crazy thing about that. I was really proud of my ability to look at a Rand McNally map and get from point A to point B, no
Right,
problem.
right.
I never had a problem.
Right.
Now I became lazy because of this thing.
Right. That's the way it is, and same with me. I mean, I was in sales for 22 years, and started by using payphones to call people to make sure they were going to be there when I got there, and,
Oh, my.
and went from there to the car phone to the brick phone to the
Yeah.
all the way up to where we are now, and it's amazing, quite frankly.
Oh, my gosh. I love
Kind of preferred the. I think I've mentioned this. The car phone, the first one. It looked just like the phone in the house. Mounted in your car. You turned your car off and got out. That's it.
How did it work? Was it a radio signal? How did it work?
It's same as the new ones. It was just,
But there was no towers back then.
yeah.
There were cell towers back then?
That's when they started putting them up. Yeah.
Because it was in a little case or something that you
It sat right in the car. It just stayed there.
Wow, that's
I
pretty
think
neat.
the next evolution was that bag phone kind of thing.
Did I ever tell you the story about the cell tower they put up next to WTMC? And they asked us to turn off the radio station?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, so here's the story. I know our listeners may have heard this, but you haven't. So they were putting up the WTMC at that time was broadcasting from WTMC is gone by the way now. So it was Robert and I were the only ones who worked there.
Yeah.
And it was right near the interstate, right near the Nobility Mobile Home, something
Yeah,
like that.
across the
Okay.
Right.
And there was 3 towers because it was a directional signal. And I won't explain too much, but the main thing came out of the middle one,
Right.
And the 2 other ones kind of sucked it in, so it was an ellipse instead of a circle.
Gotcha.
Because the signal wasn't allowed to go into other areas. All right.
Right.
So anyway, because it was going left and right instead of whatever, it was shocking the guy on the tower that they were building for the cell phones.
Really?
Yeah, he kept getting shocks.
Huh.
Our
So-
towers were 200 feet tall.
So we basically worked in a shack, and
Right.
there was a knock at the door. Hey, I'm from. The guy explains he's with the cell phone company. They're putting up a tower,
Right.
and they're going to need about 5 or 6 hours. Can we turn off the radio station? And I said, no, we can't turn off the radio station. That's the craziest thing I ever heard. What if we paid you for it? I said, well, I don't own it. Let me call the boss.
All right.
I don't know what they worked out, but it was like $6,000 or something he got.
Huh.
Yeah.
And you shut it off.
He told me, turn it off. Turn it off.
Yeah.
I turned it off, and I went out there and watched him because there was nothing for me to do.
Right.
No
The whole
signal.
thing was turned off. Money talks.
Yeah, man.
It does, and that cell phone tower is still up there today. You can
Is
go
it?
down
And how much
200
money do you suppose that cell tower makes for them?
Oh, yeah.
So that $6,000 was nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even the guy who owns the land, I think, gets a piece of that one.
They do. I looked at buying a restaurant once, and the biggest thing was it had a huge billboard on it.
Uh-huh.
And I know through some relatives that the billboards are big money. Those good ones, you know, them big ones.
Oh, my.
And when I went to make the offer, he said the billboards is not included. That piece of land's not included with the rest of the.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Disappointment.
Pass, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
oh, wow.
Yeah, they do make some money, so.
Wow.
So all those people complaining about the road, the Suncoast Connector,
All right?
they don't realize that the people who own the land that it'll go through,
Yeah.
they probably want it because you
Yeah.
put up a billboard along that way, and there's
Yeah.
instant money.
Instant money.
Gosh,
Wow.
that is amazing.
Well, this was fun. Last show of 2019.
Last show. Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah. Are you going out doing something fun?
I don't know, you know.
New Year's or-
Shout out to my wife being home, but I don't know that we'll be doing much because, you know, she's been sick, so.
Well, let's pray that she gets well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martin, for everything. You picked up where we lost Jim this year, and
Right.
it's been a bad year for that. And my brother passed, but
My son passed.
your son passed this year.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I knew that.
Back in March.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so
that is
sorry.
so sad.
Yeah.
I'm
so,
so
How old was he?
sorry.
been a tough year. 33.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
So sorry.
Yeah. And my chocolate Labrador passed.
Well,
And that broke your heart too.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that broke your heart,
was
too.
sad.
Yeah, bad year.
I'm sorry.
Hopefully next year is much better.
Prayers for 2020 for you
Yeah.
and your
Yeah.
wife for a better year.
All of us.
Thank
yeah.
you for the meat.
Oh, no problem.
I'm going to ask Robin to not tell me when she makes it. It's just
I'm gonna.
let me think it's hamburger.
All right.
Okay,
You'll
all right,
like it.
I
I'm
won't
telling
try
you,
it.
you'll like it.
Thank you, Martin.
Okay, Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Here is your 1-minute news brief. The Florida Highway Patrol is reporting that a woman has died from injuries sustained when she was hit by a car while crossing State Road 200 near 103rd Street Road last night at approximately 8:45 p.m. The report says she had locked herself out of her car and had crossed the road to try to get a clothing hanger. Her identity was not provided. St. Petersburg police say 8 people were treated for minor injuries early yesterday following a hit and run and a shooting outside a nightclub. The sheriff's office